The world famous Butch and Bob Show.
World famous Butch and Bob Show right here on WIFO 105.5 FM in Jesup, Big Dog Country Radio. Bob, how's it going?
It's going well.
Going well, doing good?
Yep, doing good.
All right. Well, we've got lots of guests in the studio with us this morning. What's going on, Bob?
Well, we've got the SPLOST referendum coming up for people to vote on. Again, early voting begins on Monday, February 19th. We've had the Mayor Scriven in. We've had the county administrator in. Thought we'd get the city of Jesup's perspective today. We've got Mayor Ralph Hickox and Commissioners Pam Schuman and Mike Deal in to talk about the upcoming SPLOST, how important this money is for the cities of Jesup, Odom, and Scriven in the county. So, Ralph, you want to start first?
Yeah, I mean, it's very important for the city. It's one of the ways we get. It's how we get a lot of our special projects done. It's how we keep from raising the taxes to do those things. You know, infrastructure is critical for the city. Without infrastructure, you don't have growth. In fact, without the wastewater treatment plant we built, and that's part of what we pay for with the SPLOST. It's about 50% of what we pay for with our SPLOST is our notes for the wastewater treatment plant. Without that, you wouldn't. The industrial park, wouldn't be feasible because you wouldn't have that. But I'd like to, if I can, start with Dr. Schuman down here. She's one of our commissioners. She's going to cover what we spent the money for on SPLOST 4.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I am Pamela Schuman, Commissioner. This is my third year of my first term, and my position here is to continue the penny. I reviewed SPLOST 4 to see exactly what the commissioners before me said they would do, and then I looked to see if they did exactly what they said that they would do, and they were spot on. Early voting begins on February the 19th, and I need everybody in my district, which is District 2, to get out and vote, and all districts to get out and vote. SPLOST 4, to me, one word that summed it up for me was safety. One of the things that I see that was done, the police department, there were some new cars bought, car equipment bought. Then when I move over to the fire department, there were fire engines that were purchased, and it looked to me that it was all about safety. So my position, again, would be to continue the penny. What they said they would do for SPLOST 4 has been done, has been completed. So we're looking for SPLOST 5 now, and I'm going to pass it back over to our mayor, Mr. Ralph Hickox, and he will talk about what we plan to do that I will be a part of, which is SPLOST 5.
Thank you, Dr. Schuman. So SPLOST 5, what we're projecting to do with that, and again, like I said, with SPLOST 4, in 2013, I'm going to let Commissioner Deal talk about the wastewater treatment plant, because that was a big infrastructure thing we did with 4 or 5, and probably if we have a 6, it's going to be helping to pay for through there too. But at least 50% of that. Some of the things we did do in 4, just so you know, we bought 2 fire engines, which they're very expensive, but we definitely need for like Dr. Schuman said, for public safety. Most all the police cars are bought with and outfitted with that. We bought a garbage truck. That's $250,000 each. But going into the SPLOST 5, we have set aside $3.5 million for public safety. That's your police officers, firefighting, stuff like that. $4.6 million of it is going to the water and sewer. And what specifically that is the GIFO loans that we took out. It's a 20-year GIFO loans we took out to do the building of the wastewater treatment plant. And we still have those. It's $720,000 a year. Then we have $1 million for streets, parks, and beautification, which, street projects is a continuation of what we have to do. We do get LMIG money, but we have to match it. But we also have Cracker Williams Park, which we're doing swim pool, so that'll help us with anything we didn't finish there. But we are rehabbing Station 1. That is something that's been desperately needed. We're going to add a bay to it. We're going to be putting in a burn building because training is critical. Training is something we need to do because of it helps us with the ISO rating. Now, ISO rating is what keeps your insurance rates low in the city of Jesup. So that's one of the biggest needs we're seeing in the last audit. And the training building will be just for that. The burn building will be just for that. And I'm sure we'll work with the county to help train their firefighters because they had that same need as we did. And then continue on with the purchase of police cars and bulletproof vests for them and the body cams that we desperately need. But Commissioner Deal, would you mind elaborating on some for us about the wastewater treatment plant and what it means to Jesup?
Well, first off, let's talk a little bit about history. Going back to the original SPLOST, there was a lot of things done that we wouldn't have today if it wasn't for SPLOST. And either SPLOST 2 or SPLOST 3, I don't know, get them all mixed up, but we built a hospital, basically. We would not have that hospital if it hadn't been for SPLOST. And actually what happened during that time, the city gave up a large percentage of their SPLOST, and the county also gave up a large percentage of their SPLOST in order to build a hospital. Look at the hospital we got now. We wouldn't have that if not for SPLOST. And then going on to the wastewater treatment plant, those plants last for approximately 25 years. That's the norm. And our treatment plant, where all our sewer goes from the city to be treated to released later on once it's clarified into the streams and into the river. We had to build a new treatment plant because it has to perform at a certain rate, and it has to take all of the impurities out of the water to somewhere in the 90% range for it to be released back into the river. And that plant had reached its age. It was to the point where we had to build it. We had to build a $12 million plant. If we built that plant today, it would probably be 3 times that. So it was very advantageous for us to go ahead and build that plant at $12 million. We thought it was outrageous at the time. But looking at the figures today, and we've heard that talking with engineers and stuff on the new industrial park, it would be at least triple today. So that was an excellent plan that we done. We thought it was very expensive at the time, but actually it was pretty cheap compared with today's prices. And that's something we have to have. People don't think about what happens with the sewer system inside the city. You know, if you're out in the county and you're spread out, you have a septic system. It works basically the same way. But all of our sewer goes to a certain spot. We treat it, and then it's released into the river. But there's no way that we could have built that plant without that. And, you know, if you don't, the best way to look at it, I guess, is what happens if you don't pass SPLOST. Well, it's the SPLOST funds alone are basically the same, or actually a little bit more than actually what we take in taxes each year. So the difference in city government and other governments is we really have a very low tax rate. We operate on expenses for other things. It's actually our millage rate is 4.7, and we raise a little over $1 million a year in taxes, and we have about a $12 to $15 million budget. So that basically tells you what percent of our budget is tax money. And with SPLOST, we're able to generate $1.5 million a year just for city use. And that alone, if we didn't have SPLOST, the only other way that we could keep up to the same standards we have today is double taxes, and that's just not possible.
Right.
It's just not possible. So what you do, instead of increasing taxes, which would be a civil war, you'd have to just cut services, and we're not wanting to do that either. So you know, you don't want to cut your police department down. We're building it. We're building the fire department up. We've got several new firefighters that we put on in the last few years, and we want to keep that trend. We want to, you know, Ralph mentioned ISO rating. If you live inside the city, you have a ISO rating of about 4, I think.
It is.
And if you didn't have that low ISO rating, you'd pay 3 times, 4 times what we do in insurance rates alone, and that's huge. So we got to have these things. We don't have to have them. We need these things to, especially SPLOST monies, to help us do what we need to do, what we have to do.
I was going to mention, Mike, you've been around a long time. You've been city manager. You've been county administrator. You know how important this SPLOST is. You hit the nail on the head. The question is, what happens if you don't pass the SPLOST? Right. And the answer is, like I said, they're either going to raise property taxes or they're going to not be able to provide services. So, right. I mean, so it's to me, it's a no-brainer. It's been, that's why it's been there 20-some years. I mean, I think people in Wayne County have seen the need, and we stress all the time, a lot of that money comes from out of county. I tell people all the time, when you go to Savannah, you go to Brunswick, you pay their 1%, so it's what's free for them that you want to get in return. And they mentioned when Mayor Weaver's here, go by a Walmart parking lot and see all those out-of-county tags. All those people shopping from out of town, they're paying that 1-cent sales tax as well.
Yeah, by the way, Bob, don't remind me of my age.
Well, you've been around here as long as I have.
I remember you coming in.
A long time ago.
This is a sword.
Yeah, we're saying we got one retailer alone that has close to $100 million a year in sales. That's $1 million that comes to Jesup, or to Jesup in Wayne County, in sales tax alone. And I've talked with that retailer, and they said about 30% of that business is from out of town. So that's 30% of that money is funded to our needs, and our government is coming from somewhere else. That's a lot better than raising your property taxes. But to put it also in perspective, our millage rate is about $250,000 per mill. So just on the GIFO alone for the wastewater treatment plant alone, if the SPLOST were to fail, we'd have no choice but to raise at least 3 to 4 mills just to cover that one debt. And that's not like, say, well, if we don't get it, we won't be able to offer this service. We've committed that wastewater treatment plant. We have to pay that. It's a bank note. We got to pay it. So if it were to fail, where are we going to get the money from? There's no other choice but to raise property taxes, and it would be just for that 3 to 4 mills, and that doesn't include the things that we have. The other improvements we were talking about doing, like the purchase of police cars, the fire station, or the fire trucks, or the and then something you don't think about is lift stations. We have a steady list of lift stations that they're hidden in the ground. You don't see them, but if let them, they'll last about 15, 20 years apiece also. And if we don't have a rotation of rehabbing those, and they're like $1 million a piece to rehab one. And if you don't have a rotation of rehabbing them, they eat through from that acid in them, and next thing you know, you got the EPA fining you. So these are things we have to do. And there's only 2 places you can get it from, the money to do that with. One is either through this SPLOST for capital projects, or from the taxpayers out of the property taxes. And so the city of Jesup, we've been extremely prudent with the tax dollars. 4.7% is 4.7 mills, which is what we are currently, is a third of what you're paying in other places. We are dramatically low. We've been talking before about if there was possibly a way to eliminate the property taxes. It's going to be challenging, but we've talked about that. And the only way that would be even possible is a combination of SPLOST and LOST and other revenues. So Jesup has been wise, and I hope that people will go out on February 19th and vote yes for it. I know people think, well, I don't want to tax, but these are services we're going to have to provide either way, and this is the easiest way to do it, the easiest, the most fair way to do it. It lets people from out of town help contribute to it, and again, Jesup has been very wise with it.
And it's just a continuation of the penny that we've all been paying now for over 20-something years.
Right.
And Wayne Countyans and Jesupites have been voting for it for the past generation, and see the how wise it is and the validity of having this 1-cent sales tax to help provide all these services. They see the services around. They see the materials purchased. They see the fire trucks and the police stations. They understand about it's better to have the 1% sales tax than it is to have higher property taxes. It just makes sense. And they've done it for many years now, and I would think that the people who live in Jesup and Wayne County will continue to see the value of just continuing this penny that's been on the books now for 20-something years.
Well, I mentioned too, we did talk. Thanks a lot. You've been promoting this town hall meeting, guys. If you got questions, if you're thinking you're not, maybe you don't want to vote for this thing, come to that town hall. Ask the questions. Let's tell you the stats and the facts on this. And I'll go one step further than that. My phone number is 912-424-7075. If you've got a problem with SPLOST, give me a call. I'll come to you, sit down with you, and I'll explain to you exactly why the city of Jesup does need it, why you need to vote yes, why it's important. I'll take time to do that. I'm sure Mike go with me because it's that important it's that important that we pass this. And I'm asking you to please go out and vote for this.
And one thing I think that a lot of folks need to take a look at is some people will pick one item they don't like. You know, you could have this big array of all these things that you can purchase with a 1 cent sales tax and all these services that can be provided, but some folks will pick this one item they don't like, say, I'm not going to vote for that because of that one item. But take a look at the whole gamut of things that can be done with 1 cent sales tax, and that's what you really need to take a look at instead of one or two items that you just don't like, because everybody can find something they don't like about something. But if you take a look at the whole gambit of what this 1 cent sales tax will purchase over the next 5 to 6 years, it's just we need it here in Jesup and Wayne County.
And pretty much all we've talked about is what Jesup has in this, but and most of what us and the other two municipalities spending money on is infrastructure, and it's not it's those kind of things. But now you do get some quality of life things with the. And I support that. The county is got on theirs the new gym and the pool, which is something somewhere for the kids and adults to go and enjoy. That's something that I think will be very much something we want. It'll add to the economic impact from people coming in for tournaments, but it'll help give our kids something to do. Also, they call the Equestrian Center really is a covered arena.
Yeah, no, the thing it says Equestrian Center, but it really should say All-Purpose Center.
It really should.
It really should, because it's more than just for equestrian. It's for a whole gamut of functions that'll be held there at this facility when it's built.
Where I've seen it at in other communities where they've done similar things, it's used every weekend. So there's people coming in every weekend. They're buying gas here. They'll be buying stuff from our local stores here, contributing to our tax base. So it not only will add to quality of life, which is good, it'll also help contribute to our economy. And the last time, courthouse is not it does not sound like a fun thing to do. It's not something you want. But if you go take a look at the condition of our courthouse, our historic courthouse, it's in desperate need of repairs, and the court system certainly needs the annex they're talking about building. And I'll give a kudos out to the county commission for this. They dropped that from a $42 million projection down to $10 million. So they tightened the bolts on that to something that is what we needed and just what we needed. So again, we've all tried to be very fiscally sound with you trusting us with this penny.
It's really a safety issue when it really comes down to it. It's a safety issue there that is needed for the different activities that take place at the courthouse.
Yes, it is.
Just to remind people the dates again, this town hall meeting is taking place on Monday, February 12th, and that's going to take place at Coastal Pines Auditorium from 6 to 8 p.m. And the early voting again gets underway on Monday, February 19th, runs up until Friday, March 18th. There are 2 Saturday early voting days, Saturday, February 24th and Saturday, March 2nd. The time on Saturday is from 9 to 5, but it all takes place at Cracker Williams. And kudos to you, Mr. Deal, for allowing the county to use the Cracker Williams Recreation Center at no cost. I talked to a lot of county people. They were very happy about that. That was an interesting conversation. But I thought you nailed on the head that night as well. You said, look, I promise you the city's going to be asking the county for a favor down the road, so we need to work together. We're all one.
That's right.
It's the thing today. And, people ask me every day, why did you get back in this business? It's all about doing the right thing. That's all I care about. I'm not here to make friends. I'm just here to do the right thing. I know the right thing after 52 years. If I don't know it, I'm pretty dumb. But, all I want to do is I want to see the city go forward. I spent my entire career with this city and this community, and I just want to see it go forward. And I'm going to mention one other thing about sewer systems and stuff. I had a commissioner one time, great guy, loved him to death, but he said, we're not going to spend any money this year underground. We're going to spend it up on top of the ground where everybody can see what we're doing. Well, let me tell you something. If you don't take care of that sewer system, you're going to have some issues. If it starts bubbling up overground where you can see it. And we have an old system. Our system's 75 years old probably, and we still have some old water lines that we have to repair. and we have old sewer lines we have to repair. When that sewer finally gets to the system, it needs to be free of infiltration. That's water coming into our pipes, and we have some pipes that there's no pipes left. It's just total water. And we have to treat twice what we should treat. So we got to get in and do the proper things, and it has to be spent. The money has to be spent to correct those issues, so it's got to come from somewhere.
And one project that SPLOST is going to help is this project out here down the road from us. Talk about that project, that park that's being built.
Industrial park.
And how important that is.
And this is one thing that I can say that me and the mayor totally agree on. That industrial park's the most important issue we got going on in this community today.
Absolutely.
You know, other communities are getting huge industry. The Hyundai plant, that's huge. I don't know that those guys can really project what's going to happen to their community with that big plant coming in there. But there's fall-off plants that come, and we're in perfect situation for those plants to come to Jesup. Some people in this community don't want to grow. They're just okay with where we're at. And the older I get, I might be leaning more that way also. But we're going to have things for our kids to do.
Yeah,
Well, we gotta have, a town is either growing or dying. It's one of the two.
Yeah.
You don't stay the same. You can go through town after town after town through the highways after you leave Wayne County and see the communities who did not promote growth. And you can see where they are now, where they used to be 30 years ago. And so you talk to the employees out there at EAM and Healthy Pet and Great Southern Wood, where we developed an industrial plant, and all those jobs that are out there that can continue with the new industrial park that's being built out here right off of Sunset Boulevard and Highway 84.
I talked to a guy yesterday, and he had recently moved into town, got a good job in town. He brought his whole family down. I'm talking about immediate family and his in-laws and his outlaws and his mom and dad and everybody. And the question was that come up, why Jesup? And he said, well, we kind of drew a circle what we wanted to be, and we went down and looked, and we just finally decided on Jesup. And my comment to him was, and Ralph's going to love this also because he played a big part in it. I said, it's that beautiful downtown. And he said, yeah, it played a part. But, you know, I don't think we sometimes step back and take a look at what we have in Jesup. We do have a beautiful, viable, and that's something most people cannot say. We have a viable downtown. We don't have any empty stores downtown. You ride through some communities, and I rode through a few going to Atlanta the other day, and nothing is downtown. Empty buildings falling down. We don't have that. We got a very good-looking downtown, and for the average Joe just coming through, you saw an article in the newspaper the other day where Dink was showing some of his friends downtown. They was bragging on downtown. You know, we take a lot of pride in that. It's all good. We do look good.
Let me add in that, Mike. So I was in we just took classes up in Atlanta at GMA, and one of the classes I took was a downtown development class. And what they flop on the table in front of us, the RSV people, which was done by Mike about, was it 2018? Which is about how to progressively grow Jesup and make it improve it. They commissioned this to be done, and so Mike done that, and I was a big part of trying to, as an investor and entrepreneur, trying to make some of that stuff happen. They were teaching that class, and it was the focus point of Jesup was the focus point of the class, and I was so proud. Yeah, I was so proud of it. You know that the other people were asking what we did here, but you know that's the kind of investment we were putting into Jesup as Mike, myself, the rest of the commissioners. We believe in Jesup. Talked a minute ago about some of the taxes. If you want to lower your taxes, the easiest way is through commercial and industrial growth. through the industrial park. That's why we agree so much on that. 65+% of the tire tax is paid by commercial and industrial. That wouldn't be possible to grow it if it weren't for the investment Jesup made in the water treatment plant, which is what we need the SPLOST for to help pay it. That's over 50% of our SPLOST money will go to pay for those loans. Over 50% of it will. But the growth of that industrial park wouldn't be possible without that.
Okay. Bob, any other questions for
I just appreciate you coming.
Ralph?
Like I said, just
Mike?
want to remind everybody, early voting gets underway on the 19th of February. That town hall meeting is set for February 12th. And again, if anybody has any questions, that they'll be addressed at that town hall meeting. We do encourage people, again, if you have any doubts about the SPLOST and where the money goes and what it helps, just come to that town hall meeting. Should be very informative.
That's right. Just continue the penny.
Continue the penny.
Continue the penny. Mike, Ralph, good seeing y'all this morning.
Good seeing you too.
All right. Y'all have a good day. All right, the world-famous Butch and Bob Show here on WIFO 105.5 FM in Jesup, brought to you by First Southern Bank, by Murphy Builder Supply, Van's Barbecue, and O'Quinn & Associates.